Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Fabio Bologna from Sister, and I'm here to show you the CYROS WebGIS. This will be a short series of videos on how to use the WebGIS interface and its various functions. This first video in particular will be focused on how to move the map in the WebGIS and how to interrogate data from the CYROS project, which has been uploaded into the database at the base of the WebGIS. First of all, we have the login page. As you can see, you have the standard username and password fields, a remember me checkbox, and a forgot password link. Plus, in the right hand corner of the interface, we have a language selector. We can select between Italian, Croatian, and English, but for this tutorial, I will choose English. And now that we have shown the login page, we can finally enter the actual WebGIS interface. So I've already entered my credentials, so I just have to click login to enter. Okay, the interface is comprised of a series of elements. We have a top banner with a series of buttons to move around the map, zoom, pan, measure, and investigate datasets, plus a series of buttons to download and upload data to the database behind the WebGIS. On the left, we have the map management window, which contains layers that have been stored in the database of the WebGIS or are loaded by the user on a section base. Then we have a lower banner with a series of information, and on the right we have a series of buttons and sliders to regulate the zoom level. Starting from the top, we start actually from the right hand, which is the account button. If you click on it, you have the option to exit the interface or change your password. In my case, I also have the user management option because my account is of admin type, but it might not appear in your case. To showcase the other functions in the top banner, it's best if we turn on one layer at least. To do that, we have to go to the left window called the Map Management, go inside the group of CYROS layers, and then turn on one of these layers. For example, I might be interested in turning on the cycling routes. Okay. Now that we have a layer loaded inside of the interface, we can show the other functions, which are the zoom to extend and zoom out to extend buttons. If I click on the first one, I basically draw an area and the interface zooms to it. Okay, as you can see. The other button does the same but in reverse, so I can just zoom out. Okay. This button, initial and extend, allows the user to turn back to the first extension of the map, like that. And these two arrows allows the user to move back and forth between the zoom levels that have been used inside the session. For example, if I want to move back to a more zoomed out view, I just have to click on previous extend. And the next extend button does the same but in reverse. The user can change the zoom level also using its scroll wheel. Mine is a little bit inconsistent because of old mouse, but you get the idea. Also with the slider on the right, as you can see, you have a plus sign to zoom in, a minus sign to zoom out, and a slider. Okay, and you can also select a specific scale using this selector at the bottom. For example, let's say that I want to position myself at 25,000. Okay, perfect. Then you have the ruler that allows you to measure a distance. You just have to click left on a point, drag your mouse, and once you reach your final point, you just have to click left once again. And as you can see, the distance is calculated. You have a measure area button that uh, allows the user to draw a polygon and compute the area uh, below it. The pan button that is on by default and allows the user to move the map around. An identify button that allows the user to interrogate elements in the map. And when you turn it on, you basically have a new tab inside of the map management window on the left. As you can see, let me just turn it off. At first we had just the layers tab. Now we have also the identify tab, and you can select a layer which you want to um, investigate. For example, let me select a cycling route, and then you have two ways to inspect elements of the map. The first one is click on a point, pretty self-explanatory. You just let me just zoom in a little bit. You just have to click on an element you have to you want information about, and on the right you will see a series of attributes that regarding that element. In addition, you can also uh, um, draw a polygon, and all the elements that fall below that polygon will be inspected and will be listed on the right. For example, let me just draw a polygon here. You have to click your left mouse button and keep it clicked until you finish your drawing, and then you release it. And as you can see, we have information on two elements of the cycling route network, which is this one and this other one. After this button, you have a series, this button, which is related to public transportation information and will be analyzed in a following video. You have the search address button that allows you to move yourself in a specific address. For example, let me move to Sant'Arcangelo di Romagna, which is a city near Rimini on the seaside of Emilia-Romagna. Okay, as you can see, the map just moved to Sant'Arcangelo di Romagna. Perfect. You have the get user coordinates that allows you, the system to move the user, the map where the user is, pretty self-explanatory. And then you have a series of buttons that will be shown in another video. Coming back to the map management window, let me just disengage the search address function. Okay, let's take a look at it. We have the layers are organized into two groups. The first one is CYROS layers that contains all the layers that are a part of the CYROS project. Inside of it, you have cycling routes, services for cycle tourists, tourist points of interest, and tourist areas of interest. You also have a subgroup called public transport, which will be analyzed in a following video and contains bus stops and bus routes. Then you have another group called temporary layers. At the moment is empty because it contains layers that are uploaded by the users, and this will be shown in another video. Going back to the CYROS layers group, as you can see, you can turn on a series of layers. For example, we have the cycling routes and the services for cycle tourist point of view, and areas of interest. You can change the opacity of icons for all of these layers. For example, let me just make exactly the services a little bit transparent, just to showcase this function. Or you can also change the order, that is which information comes on top on another. This, in order to showcase this function, maybe it's best to move right here, for example, where you have a cycling route and the boundary of an area of naturalistic interest. If you click on these two small arrows on the right of the name of the layer, you can move it on top of other layers. As you can see now, the areas of interest are on top of the cycling routes, and we can maybe make it even a little bit, yes, a little bit less, have a little bit less opacity, just to show it better. Maybe it's better to just turn it off. Okay, this maybe. Okay. Then going to the bottom banner, uh, we have the coordinate reference system of the datasets. You have the X and Y coordinates of your cursor. As you can see, I can move around my cursor and those two numbers change. We have the scale selector, as I've shown a little bit before. You have the scale bar, and on the right you have the zoom level controls that I've shown before. Another interesting button on the right is the toggle full screen, which allows you to go in full screen, basically. Finally, you have the option to print the map view of your session to an external printer or a PDF. To do that, you have to click on the print button on the top right, and this will open a new window where you can select an actual printer or a printer to a PDF file, and you can also change, for example, the layout, the color scheme, etc. The output is comprised of a first page where you can see the map view with a list of active layers, the scale, and the name of the base map, and then a second page where you can find the legends for each active layer in the session. As you can see, if let me just go back. If you turn on other layers, in addition to the services for cycle tourists, for example, we might turn on the cycling route layers, and yeah, why not? Even the tourist areas of interest. Okay, let me just center it a little bit better. Okay, now we have the three different layers that have been turned on. If you click on the print button, now in the preview, as you can see in the second page, you have all three layers with each with their symbology. Finally, you just have to click print and select a folder on your system to save the map. For example, let me just call it export and save it in the gallery.